Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we're doing an 8-4 Dragons of Tarkir draft, Fate Reforged. Okay, Icefall Region is a pretty awesome card, so certainly worthy of a first pick. Other good cards in here. We've got Bludgeon Rager, Arinx, Stormcrag Elemental, and Sandcrafter Mage. Everything else is just okay. Those are the best cards in here, I would say. But yeah, Icefall Region is leagues above all of those, so a very nice first pick, to be sure. Okay, well, this is interesting. Passed a pretty strong rare, in my mind. I've had some pretty good experiences with Berserker's Onslaught. Someone took an uncommon over it, so maybe a removal spell of some sort. There is a Gurmag Drowner on color, but I think we just take the strongest card here, which I would definitely say is Berserker's Onslaught. This card's been pretty awesome for me. Granted, it doesn't do anything on its own, but it certainly does stuff with creatures, which I would hope that we're going to be having and playing. Okay, so best card in this pack is probably Elusive Spellfist. There's also Hand of Silumgar, Tormenting Voice in red, Sign of Ugin, which is a pretty good card too. I'm pretty okay with taking Elusive Spellfist, though. I like this card a lot, seeing as it's cheap, so it blocks early, but it also is a good win condition for certain decks. It's also on color with the rare that I would like to play, so it cuts some blue for us. Otherwise, Sign of Ugin is a fine pickup here too. Typically, the cheaper spells are the more difficult ones to get, which makes me want to take the Spellfist. Okay, so we have Dragon Fodder in red. We have Zephyr Scribe in blue. Best card is probably Stampeding Elkherd. I like Dragonloft Idol, though. This would be a much more solid pickup if I had taken the Sign of Ugin. But I think the strongest card is Stampeding Elkherd, which I could take. I really don't like green-blue. I've said that quite a few times, but it still holds true. Not a big fan of green-blue. Could take it and possibly end up green-red. I imagine Stampeding Elkherd and Berserker's Onslaught are pretty ridiculous together, getting trample double strike. Dragonloft Idol's not the most exciting pick anyway. I guess I actually kind of want this Dragon Fodder. It plays well with the Spellfist. I could have just taken the Elkherd there and been fine with it, but well, Roast makes me pretty happy I took that Dragon Fodder. Otherwise, yeah, there's some good cards. I would say if you're going to play green-blue, Assault Formation is one of the better cards you can have. But I'm looking at Roast or Palace Familiar, and I think we're just going to take Roast here. Good removal spell. Okay, so we have Sidisi's Faithful, which is going to play well with Dragon Fodder. We have Dragonloft Idol number 2, which plays well with Icefall Regent. Potentially plays well with future dragons that we find. I've had a couple good experiences with the card. I mean, at worst, it's a Hill Giant. But I might prefer the Summit Prowler. Although the Summit Prowler, you get 1 more power, but it costs 2 red. I don't want to necessarily say that's better than Dragonloft Idol. I mean, right now it is, but that doesn't mean it will be in the future of this draft. Yeah, I'm not sure here. This is actually interesting. Ojutai's Breath is also a good card. I think I'm actually going to take Idol, just because if I do end up with a couple more dragons, Dragonloft Idol gets really good. I wouldn't have minded the other two, Ojutai's Breath, but I was just running low on time and couldn't decide what I liked more. Well, we get a Summit Prowler now, which I'm pretty happy with. I think it's a good card. Couple good late white picks, couple decent late green cards, but we'll take the Summit Prowler. Well, that's a good sign. I'm a big Silumgar Spell Eater fan, and seeing one pick 8 I would say is a pretty good sign. So could end up in blue-red, which is an okay archetype. Not insane, not my favorite, but you do get like last pick cunning strikes out of pack 3. No one is ever really interested in that card, and I think it's pretty good. Okay, so now it's Lore Master versus Ojutai's Breath. Lore Master can bring us back Dragon Fodder, Roast, and Berserker's Onslaught. I probably want the Ojutai's Breath here. We look like we have a decent chance of being a red-blue beatdown deck, and I think Ojutai's Breath actually plays pretty well in that archetype. Actually, Taigam Strike tends to play well in red-blue as well, so that's a fine pickup too. I actually like Contradict. I'm not entirely convinced this is the best deck for it, but we do have Ojutai's Breath, Silumgar Spell Eater. I'm looking at all my instant speed spells that actually kind of play well with it. I'll take it. Otherwise, I take the Ojutai Monument for like a white splash. But all right, I think I'm gonna hate Pinion Feast here. It seems like something that would be good against a blue deck. I'm gonna cut. Well, would I prefer to cut the red or the blue? I guess Vandalize has a higher chance of being sideboarded, but still not very likely. Maybe if I'm playing against a 5-color deck with monuments, I could see it being justified. Durgar Nemesis, not very good, but if you have Berserker's Onslaught, you do get 1 attack in with Nemesis. Perhaps Megamorph it and get in for 14 points of damage. It's pretty wishful thinking, but it's possible. Okay. Pretty unexciting pack for us, unfortunately. I think I'm going to take the Rending Volley. It's been a pretty nice sideboard card for me in general, and I'm just not giving up anything I care about. Updraft Elemental's playable, but not exciting enough to first pick. Neither is Kindled Fury, whereas Rending Volley is possibly main deckable, but much more likely sideboard card, but it's a great sideboard card, so I'll first pick that. I'm not happy about it, but there's just nothing that we want otherwise, I don't think. Okay, Tail Slash is very good. There is Silumgar Sorcerer too, which is a card I've come to like quite a bit, especially since I have the Dragon Fodder. But I think we're at the moment in need of some more removal, so I think I am going to take Tail Slash. Tail Slash also has the added benefit of being good with Contradict and Silumgar Spell Eater. You can either counter your opponent's spells or use it as a removal spell at instant speed to kill something, so very beneficial. Dragonlord's Prerogative is also a good rare. And it's really actually close for me, Silumgar Sorcerer and the Tail Slash. I've come to like Silumgar Sorcerer just an absolute ton, but I think I'm going to prioritize the removal spell a little bit higher here. Wow, Shortcrasher Elemental is actually a great card to get. We're in blue. It's a pretty powerful mythic, and we're not giving up much of anything else I care about. Passing some powerful cards in Epic Confrontation and Deathwind, but pretty happily taking the Mythic here. Okay, nothing super exciting here for us in the colors that we'd like to be in, so I think we'll take the Servant. I mean, we do have Icefall Regent, potentially can pick up another dragon, but yeah, I mean, there's like Lightning Shrieker, I guess, out of pack 3. That doesn't play the best with Dragonloft Title, though. Fortunately for us, there's not much we're passing in other colors. Butcher's Glee is pretty strong. Shambling Goblin is good for some decks. Pinion Feast only seems okay against this right now, actually. But I guess we'll take the Servant. Not a great card for us, to be perfectly frank. All right, Updraft Elemental, Lose Calm Mount. I guess we'll take the Lore Master. We have some cards I would like to bring back at the moment, so I think Lore Master is actually a pretty good fit for this deck. Seems most likely we'd play Tormenting Voice. I'm fine with the card in general, and there is some Delve that we could hope to get out of pack 3. There's Bowmaster in here, which is definitely the strongest card, but we'll take Tormenting Voice. This deck's only okay so far. I'm going to need a little bit more out of this last pack to really make it come together. All right, we'll take the Bowmaster now. Actually, no, we're going to take Kindled Fury. It's good with Spellfist. And it's another thing to bring back with Lore Master. It's actually just a fine trick in general. So yeah, like I said, our deck's only okay right now. Really was looking for some better beaters. Would prefer to not play Nemesis. This is a deck that would get a lot of benefit, I think, out of Lotus Path Gens and Jeskai Sages, just because we actually have quite a few non-creature spells. Scion of Ugin's a great wheel, and actually pretty phenomenal for this deck, seeing as we've got Dragonlord's Servant as well as Dragonloft Idol. So happily taking that over Negate. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Another dragon is a welcome sight, and that's like the last opportunity, I think, to get a dragon. I mean, granted, there's some dragons we can get out of Fate Reforged, but as you might expect, Dragons of Tarkir contains more dragons. Okay. Second Kindled Fury versus Updraft Elemental versus... Oh, we're not going to take a second Tygom Strike. Trying to think what I'm not a huge fan of Updraft Elemental in this deck. I don't see it playing well synergistically with much of anything. Guess I'll take a second Kindled Fury, but admittedly I'm not thrilled about it. I would prefer to not play Durgar Nemesis. Okay, I think actually Zephyr Scribe is something I could definitely see being played in this deck, seeing we've got, 10 non-creature spells. We also have cheap spells to help filter in a more efficient way with Zephyr Scribe, so I'll take it. I've never been a huge fan of the card, admittedly, but this seems like a deck that could play it, definitely. All right, we'll take the Reduce in Stature. We're removal light, and Reduce in Stature is, I guess, only mediocre at best, but something I could see myself playing. I don't care about any of these cards. I guess I'll take the on-color one. So far, we only have one, actual card I could see myself sideboarding into. We're definitely going to have enough cards for a deck, which is nice. Lose Calm, I could see myself playing. It's a better sideboard card than main deck card in this format, but it's fine nonetheless. Seems like a pretty strong deck for it with Lore Master and Spellfist and Berserker's Onslaught even. All right, we'll just cut blue. Okay, so going to pack 3, we only need 1 card to make a deck. There's definitely some upgrades this deck could use. Monastery Siege is pretty good. I'm only giving up Smoldering Efreet for it, really. I guess Mardu Rune Mark is... it's not even good with blue. Break Through the Line is interesting, actually. We have quite a few 2-power guys. It's actually an okay card, but I can't justify that over Monastery Siege, which is actually a good card, too. I've come to like Siege. I'd much prefer play the Siege than the Zephyr Scribe, but it depends on how creature light we are. Well, all right, here's our pack. So a lot of good options here. Jeskai Sage, Goblin Heel Cutter, Vault Breaker, Surveyor. They're all very good. We're actually in need of more cheap creatures, which makes me want to take the Sage, but I just can't justify taking Sage over Heel Cutter. We already have to make a cut for this. I'd probably like to sideboard Lose Calm. We need quite a few more creatures to really make this deck come together. 11 including Dragon Fodder is not bad, though. This isn't the best looking Heel Cutter deck right now, but Heel Cutter is just such a strong card in general. It might be worth taking. Surveyor is a pretty phenomenal card, though. I could take Surveyor. I would prefer the cheap creature. Cheaper is better. Surveyor is so good. I think I'm going to take the Heel Cutter. I also like the Vault Breaker, but I think Heel Cutter is just going to work better. Granted, like I said, not the best deck for Heel Cutter, but just such a powerful card in general. Well, Pyrotechnics and even Surveyor? Jeez. Well, we got to take Pyrotechnics because it's an extremely strong spell. I'm actually unimpressed with Taigam Strike in this deck right now. We don't have a ton of good ways to abuse it. I think I'd rather just take the Pyrotechnics, hope to wheel some more cheap threats. Gore Swine. I don't think we're going to wheel Surveyor, but that's alright. Okay, a bit of a miss here. We'll take the Will of the Naga. I don't really like it all that much in general. But there's nothing else in here I care about, I guess. Could take the Bloodfell Caves if we're past a black thing I want to splash, but it doesn't seem super realistic. I honestly don't even think I'm playing Will of the Naga. We do have Monastery Siege to make it cheaper, as well as Tormenting Voice. But I think I just like Ochitai's Breath better. Maybe not. I mean, I guess we'll take it. I'll keep my options open for it, but... Okay. Good options here. Could take the Lotus Path Djinn. There's also Jeskai Sage. They're both pretty similar. Sage is cheaper, but Djinn possibly fits our curve slightly better. I mean, they both fit our curve well. There's never a time where you have too many Jeskai Sages. I only have 3 2-drop creatures at the moment, which might not be enough. They're both, like I said, they're both very good in this deck. This is a tough choice, actually. I may just want to make sure I have enough cheap spells by taking the Sage. I guess I'm going to take the Djinn. That's tough for me. Okay, this is interesting. I think I actually like Right Into Being. I like Whisk Away a lot, too. But Right Into Being has some good synergies in this deck. I think Contradict's out. I actually like the card in general, but we've got more important things this deck needs to do. I could see myself not needing the Tormenting Voice since I've got the Monastery Siege. What's my removal then? Roast, Tail Slash, Ochitai's Breath, sort of. Kindled Furies, sort of. Guess I'm going to take Whisk Away. I'm not thrilled about it, but there's still a chance we can find some later creatures. I'll take the Battle Rage. Actually, don't think it's a great deck for it. Actually, I might just want the Fierce Invocation. I've only got 13 creatures right now. I really do want to increase that. We already have Berserker's Onslaught, so Temur Battle Rage becomes slightly less necessary. We also have Double Kindled Fury. Not to say that they're as good as Temur Battle Rage, but we're just really on the hunt for enough creatures at the moment. I may actually play 18 lands with this deck too. I haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to take the Fierce Invocation though. Okay, another choice between Whisk Away and Right Into Being. I think I'm actually going to take the Right Into Being here. We have 14 creatures, 15 if I take the Right Into Being. I do like Whisk Away quite a bit. I could get away with 14 creatures, double Whisk Away maybe. Alright, let's take the removal. I changed my mind. I like that it's cheap removal. I'm going to take the Break Through the Line. I'm not passing anything of substance anyway. Ugin's Construct. That intrigues me. We do have Dragon Fodder. I'm in need of more fat. I do have at least a few morph guys. Is there anything I would like to sack to Ugin's Construct? Not especially. Collateral damage doesn't strike me as all that amazing, although I do have Lose Calm. I'm going to take the Construct. I think there's a chance we end up playing it. Alright. I'm going to take the Goreswine here pretty happily over the Skullkeeper. So at least we have a lot of cuts to make. That's always, like I say, a good problem to have. Friendly Fire. I don't think, even though I lost to that in the last 8-4, probably just hate a pressure point. I really can't see myself. Alright, Jeskai Runemark. I mean, I don't know if I'm playing it, but wow, last pick Return of the Earth is surprising. That's a good card. I don't know if I'm going to play the Rune Mark, especially since we have a lot of cuts to make. I probably don't have enough stuff to make Break Through the Line good. Yeah, we basically just have to decide some cuts. I think I'm going to cut the Will of the Naga. I already have the Breath. I think I like Breath slightly more since it's cheaper, although it doesn't lock 2 down at once. Let's separate creatures from non-creatures. These sort of count as creatures. So 16 creatures, including Fierce Invocation and Dragon Fodder, which is fine enough. Let's, I think we're actually going to cut Reduce in Stature from the main deck. Pretty mediocre card in general, and we actually ended up with enough removal where I don't think that's going to be necessary. Jeskai Runemark is very good on like a Goreswine or a Summit Prowler, but not too much else. I don't think we need it. Perhaps Double Kindled Fury is more than we need as well. I would kind of like to keep this many creatures. I'm pretty strongly debating running 18 lands too. Our curve is just a bit higher than I'm comfortable with. And since we have the Monastery Siege as well as the Zephyr Scribe, whoops, we had a Zephyr Scribe, we don't have to worry about getting flooded as much. These cards can help us filter kind of nicely. Let's cut a Kindled Fury, at least one. I might end up cutting both. Kind of like keeping the Servant around for double dragons. I think because these, Megamorph at these costs, I can realistically do 18 lands. And it's not bad for me either. I also kind of like that I can Zephyr Scribe or leave up like a Silumgar Spell Eater. Heel Cutter did not pan out to be fantastic in this deck, but like I said, it's like a strong card on its own, which made me want to take it. Yeah, I might cut Kindled Fury. I think I like everything else more. This is a nice, cheap combat trick, but we've got some cuts to make. I got to make at least 2 more if I'm going to run 18 lands, which I think I am. We do kind of want to hit our curve. And we're very 3-drop heavy. We have mana sinks. We have unmorph stuff. And we have card draw effects in Siege and Zephyr Scribe. So I'd have to cut 2 spells. Maybe Dragonloft Idol's actually mediocre with only 2 dragons. Or maybe I just want to cut the Fierce Invocation. The Fierce Invocation feeds into Zephyr Scribe and Elusive Spellfist. But otherwise, maybe I would just prefer the Idol. I could see Idol being actually really good with either of our dragons out. And pay the extra mana to get another +1/+1, basically a 4/4. But I think the paying 1 less and having potential huge upside probably makes the Idol worth it. Ugin's Construct as a 4-mana 4/5. I only have 3 morph guys. Sacrificing a goblin as well isn't so bad. But perhaps this is not the Construct deck. It takes me to 14 creatures, which I don't like that much. It would take me to 14 creatures, including the dragon fodder, that is. I really don't want to cut any more of our removal. I think the double Whisk Away, Tail Slash, Roast, Ojutai's Breath, Pyrotechnics removal suite is actually very good. actually tempted to cut Zephyr Scribe. Even though it does give us some card draw options, I think the Siege hopefully is enough. Scribe is just so mediocre. Granted, this is like probably one of the better decks you can have for it, or at least one of the better archetypes you can have for it. But I kind of feel like everything else I'm doing is more valuable. Maybe the Dragonlord Servant. It just makes Icefall Regent and Scion cheaper. It also blocks early, though. Something this deck needs. All right. Zephyr Scribe is really awful when you're behind, too, like top decking and playing it. I guess Dragonlord Servant isn't that great when you're behind either, but the fact that it can actually ramp into our most powerful creatures, as well as block early against, like, or trade with, like, Dromoka Warriors and stuff, I think there's probably enough value in that where I'm okay playing it. Okay. So this is what the deck looks like with 18 lands. 14 creatures, including Dragon Fodder, which is not a lot, admittedly, but probably enough. All right, you know what? I think I'm comfortable with this. Not a fantastic deck, but a pretty good deck. We ended up with enough things. Removal, finishers, early spells, where I think we could win some games, definitely. So I think we definitely have to err towards blue because of Shorecrasher Elemental, although you can just Megamorph it for 5, so maybe it's not a big deal. What do they say? They want to do 9/9. Jeez, I really wouldn't have expected that, I gotta be honest. I could go 10/7, but... Or 10/8, rather, excuse me. I would do 10/8 what? Solely so Shorecrasher Elemental could be played on turn 3. That's not even a big deal. Maybe I'd do the 9/9. I really want to make sure I see both my colors. Okay. Yeah, so we'll run the deck like this. Should be good enough. We'll have to see, though. All right. We'll see you round 1.